Hello, and welcome to the 10th episode of the UEFA Dynasty podcast. I'm your host, Erik of VFL Wolfsburg, and my co-host are Fred of Hercules. Fred, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Erik. Thank you.
Fred?
What? Hello? Am I here? Can anyone hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry, I had a quick audio fix, but Bill, how you doing tonight?
Hang in there, another busy week. They're ready for the pod.
All right, that is Bill of Arsenal, as I didn't fully introduce him. Not too much going on in the UEFA League right now. We do have our youth squad draft that is going on, and it's very simple. You draft a guy that's an incoming freshman or earlier. There's not too many resources to scout these guys, but people take videos of their high school tape, and you have college recruiters' predictions and things like that. So the pick is untradeable, which has been really tested, and that's really gotten on my nerves lately. The bylaws clearly state that you can't trade the pick, and that there's no workarounds to it. But unfortunately, my words of you can make a gentleman's agreement, which means, hey, if you take this guy, I'll give you a guy later if you take my guy, turned into, we could do a half trade now, half trade later kind of thing, which is not the intention at all. So moving forward, we're going to clarify the bylaws, and unfortunately, you may not be able to trade your incoming youth squad picks as a result. Fred, the rules are pretty clear to you, right?
In this case, yeah. I mean, it looked like you guys set it up the way you wanted, or at least the way you meant it to be. Unfortunately, it didn't come across that way in the group me. I think you were. It sounded like you were encouraging a gentleman's agreement without actually saying what that meant in terms of what you can do and what you can't do. So people just twisted that to mean whatever they thought it could.
Right. Yeah. Billy, have you been following any of the drama, or is this news to you?
It is. I do realize I've gotten a couple offers for my youth pick, so I know that was going on. The only drama that I need to add, I haven't followed a lot. I wish I could draft Eli Manning's two male kids. I think they're a little too early for that. But as far as the rest of it, I have not seen a lot of the drama.
Just to let you know, you can draft Eli Manning's kid.
Even though he's 5 years old?
Yes.
There's no minimum age. That's awesome.
Now the pod knows.
That would be so great if you took a 5-year-old kid. Just if you do, just make sure you put the where he lives.
I mean, Eli lives in Hoboken, and the exact address.
I'm just saying, that's the stipulation. It has to be like, you can't just put Manning and then take the first Manning that
No.
go pro.
I'll have the full name. That's fine. I'm not saying that. I can't get an ID if you're asking for that, but I can get a.
Yeah, we might need a photo ID.
Well, I'll work on it. I'll tweet Eli tomorrow morning. I'll ask him for a photo ID of his 5-year-old child. I'll see what I can do.
So if I draft Charles Johnson, I don't get all the Charles Johnsons?
Ooh, correct. You have to be specific on which Charles Johnson.
No, that's unacceptable.
Good question.
Okay. Well, anyway, So it's a good point to clarify some of these youth squad rules because for some reason no one can get it right. So we're not trading any of the picks. You can't trade them until they're on your roster. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2: it has to be an incoming freshman or later. Meaning you can't draft a guy that was a freshman last year, regardless if it's a red shirt or not. And third, you can't take a guy that's already been picked as the youth squad, which we've already had 3 owners do in the first 13 picks. It's on the spreadsheet. It's very clear. They're highlighted in colors. You can't miss it.
Listen to Erik. He is fed up.
I was so excited because number 1 guy that was on my youth list hadn't been taken, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get. Wait, I have to look at that other tab. Shit, he's gone, and then he's gone. Why are people taking all those people last year? I've never heard of them until like yesterday.
So I could give you the short answer. They still recruit. They like right now. There's all the way up to like 2023 or 2024, the recruiting class, and they look at their physical profiles and the games they've played, and they still rank them. They never stop.
It was a revelation to me that this exists and that people had heard of these players. You know, basically before they've got pubes.
Well, there was that one post I think it was Espanol. Am I saying it right? Who posted that one that link, the 2021 rankings? I think that's a big deal. That's huge. That people should look at. And not just stepping on your toes, Fred. I understand what
that's exactly what I was talking about.
That was a big thing. That was very, very, very helpful. I don't know why he did it. I'm thankful that he did it.
I was going to chide him for doing it, but I'd already made my pick, so I didn't care.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so while we're on topics of the league and the youth squad draft, which unfortunately only a third of our owners got to make their pick so far, so we'll keep going with that. But we do have a poll up on the website, and you could be found on the main page in the middle. It's about eliminating the mid-season trade deadline. So week 4, the last week, you can make trades, and it goes through week 7 where there's a trading blackout. Then weeks 8 to 12 you can trade again before the final trade deadline, week 13, kind of like regular leagues. The vote was simply would you want to remove that middle trading part? And it's a private poll, so we won't know the results. I'm going to close it once the youth squad draft is over because everyone's had to have checked in by then. So if you didn't vote at that point, I guess you really didn't care. But we'll open the floor with you, Bill. Do you like the mid-season trading blackout, or
I think our trading window, how we do it, so we're basing our whole league off of what we're doing. You know, we're making it UEFA soccer. And I know some people don't. You know, who came in from wherever, don't understand what's going on. They don't understand the transfer windows. So I think it's realistic towards the league that we're trying to run. But I think the window we had, the summer window per se, and the winter window per se, and the also, you know what I mean, is perfect the way it was. It's off of our league. I think that should stay the same. I don't think there's any reason to change our trade policies because right now it matches up to what our league is, or it's trying to exemplify. But you know what I mean. But I think that needs to stay the same to keep the whole values for what our league is.
Fred, how about you? Do you like that middle part?
How many people have voted so far? Do you have those numbers?
Yeah, I'll have it here in a second. But what do you think about it in general before we know how many people voted on it?
Come on.
So I'm kind of with Billy on this, in the sense that I like the idea of mirroring the soccer season, even though I don't understand it or follow any of those leagues, so I don't know how that works. But you know, if that's the theme of the league, then go ahead and do it. My only concern was the poll didn't have an option for what I wanted to vote. It was either keep it the same or do away with it altogether. I just thought it should be different weeks of the season. You guys picked that particular block of games, and I think you had your reasons for it. I just thought if it was pushed further back, after a few more games of the season, that would have been a better place for it.
What kind of weeks would you try to make it if you had your way? And just
So, what was the current blackout? Weeks 4 through 7.
Yep.
I think I would go like 6 through 9 then, just to push it, because I think maybe after week 4, people think they're still in it, and after 6 weeks, they have a much better position of, I have a chance or I don't have a chance, and I could do something before everyone in the league knows that I have no choice but to go this direction.
Yeah. and that's something we could certainly open up for discussion again after we see the results of this. Someone else asked about it too, and I didn't want to, open it fully up. But there's plenty of people that think like, oh, I do want to change, but it wasn't this. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was my misinterpretation on it changing it. I personally felt that the trading blackout kind of hurts activity for the league as people check in and like, oh, I can't trade. Okay, I'll set my lineup. I'll see you guys, week 8 when I can trade, which I don't want to happen. I don't want people to check out. I want them to be fully involved.
Not to cut you off, but this is the league that we're doing. This is a UEFA fancy thing. This is based off in the major soccer leagues that we're playing on. So sorry, and I get that. I get your point. You want people to check out, but this is what we're doing. We're trying to exemplify. We're trying to make as close as possible to the real soccer windows and what we're doing. So to that point, I get your point, but this is what we're doing. This is the whole point of the league. If you don't want to, maybe it's not the league for you. And I get it's not. This is a league that's very, very different. It is. But this is what we're doing. This is the whole point of what we're doing. But I don't think we should make it. We should change it to that.
Okay, so let's go to Fred's point, Bill. Would you want to change the weeks? Do you think there's too many weeks? Do you think there's too little weeks?
I think the weeks are fine. I think the amount of weeks are fine. I do like 6 to 9. I do. I didn't know I liked it until you said it. I think maybe 6 to 9 are more realistic to the. I'll use the Premier League for the example. Where I do January is the month they can do transfers. I like it. So I think 6 to 9 is more realistic, actually, or more relatable to the Premier League and the other leagues abroad. I do like 6 to 9. If we were going to change anything, I would change 4 to 7 to 6 to 9. I like that.
Yeah, we get it. You like the 69, but we do have another.
Well.
We do have another host, and we'll get his opinion as I add him to the chat now. Donnie from Atalanta, who was so nice of us to join, is going to join, and let me add him to the stream and see if he's ready. Hey, Donnie.
What's up?
Hey, so we're live, so we don't have the regular introduction where we could talk before we go live, but right now we're discussing the possible trade deadline rule change, and right now the vote is just, would you eliminate the middle period of blackout between weeks 4 and 7? And Fred and Billy came up with, we don't want to remove that, but we would like to push it back.
That was all Fred. Don't give me the credit. That was all Fred. I agree with it. That was Fred.
So Fred came up with the idea, and Billy agreed that to push it back to week 6 to 9. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I wasn't even. Obviously, I asked some questions in the group chat yesterday about kind of the ties to the soccer theme, which I admittedly don't know a ton about soccer. I grabbed Atalanta because at the time being invited to the league, I lived in Atlanta. If that tells you anything about my soccer knowledge. So no, I think I gathered it though, right? Is that break makes it much like our tying system, or more likely to tie based on the margin of victory. It ties it more closely to European soccer. So if that's a way to make it more in line with that theme, then yeah, I'm on board with it, and I'm interested to hear Fred's point.
Well, I was just saying that I like the idea of there being a blackout period. Just I wanted to push it later in the season. It's currently weeks 4 through 7, and I suggested weeks 6 through 9 instead.
Just to put it more in the middle.
Yeah, just to give teams a little bit longer to determine, kind of their own destiny. Week 4 is a little bit early to either to cut yourself off from moves because you don't know whether you're a contender or you're out.
But I agree. You need to cut it out. Yeah. You need to cut out there. So going back to the soccer thing. So with most European leagues, so it starts in mid-August, and then the transfer period, which would be our trade period, would be January. So it is tough. Yep. The soccer goes, most leagues go to August to May. So it's a long season. It's all about kind of trying to compact that. And I think week 4, which we're doing right now, is a little too early. I think Erik, if I'm wrong, please tell me. I think if we're comparing week 4, I think maybe we're still in November there. If we're trying to compare it to, professional league soccer, I think the 6 to 9 is the midpoint. I think that's where the January will hold as far as soccer. I really do. I really do.
I made the bylaws a year ago. I don't remember why we picked those dates specifically, but I know that's what me and Matt settled on.
Oh no!
I mean, you had to come up with something.
Yeah, you had to come up with so much too. I mean, it's crazy what you guys came up with. Kudos. That's nuts. I don't have the patience for any of that. So it's neat. Seriously. I just think that the 6 to 9 with Fred said, I think Fred. I mean, what a suggestion. Seriously. That is,
I've never seen someone so elated about a very small change.
It's not a small change, though. It's really not. It's really not. Week 4 to week 6, that's huge. If I'm 0-4, I still think, hey, there are my bye weeks. There's this, there's that, blah, blah, blah. At week 6, if I'm 0-6, come on, it's over. Let's get real.
Okay. So, we have a few opinions here. If you agree or disagree, make sure you vote on the MFL homepage, including you, Bill. You said you haven't voted yet.
I'm on the page right now.
So make sure you do that. And if you have anything to discuss, please post it in the group me. Please make a message board post about your thoughts on this, so that if whatever the results are, we can move forward to try to make this right. But moving past that poll, and we already went over the youth squad in general, we wanted to talk about some of the later picks in the draft. There wasn't too many things of note. I know I was happy to move up and get Jordan Love to back up Aaron Rodgers. But one pick that Billy wanted to highlight that he loved was Chelsea taking PJ Walker in the 4th. The would have been the XFL MVP, who had more touchdowns than everybody else combined, it seemed. Bill, why did you love that pick so much?
Stud. This is a stud. And I'll let everyone know that I thought Erik took the first PJ Walker. So I'm very upset that Chelsea took the first one. But I think it's a great pick. I think he was a stud, man. Oh, watch XFL. I watched XFL a lot. And I know, Erik, you did too. I don't know about you guys, but I watched it constantly. I thought it was great. I did. I really enjoyed it. And
right, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, Bill. But why do you think he's going to be a success in the NFL? Right now, he's the clear backup to Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes, he is. And if you didn't cut me off, I could have continued my sentence. I expect nothing less than for a Packer fan. So don't worry, Erik. That's fine. I think the way he threw, the accuracy. Actually, you know what? I can't say he's going to take over from Teddy. I like Teddy. I do. I feel bad for Teddy. I think Teddy could have taken over in New Orleans. I think his accuracy, his power, his speed too. PJ Walker, he's a real threat. If Teddy has through week 6, I think if they're 1-5 or this and that, whatever, if they perform badly, PJ Walker can come in and he can change a team. Teddy's not a mobile guy. He has one leg, so he's not a mobile guy. PJ Walker can come in and he can change a team like that. Especially with McCaffrey. Come on now. And I'm so pissed that Chelsea took him first instead of Erik. I didn't even want to talk about this.
Okay, well, Fred, do you think PJ Walker was worth a flyer in the 4th?
I'd never heard his name until a minute ago. I didn't watch the XFL. I don't have cable TV. I don't watch football.
You have Fox, right?
So, what?
You have cable TV. You have Fox.
I don't have it. I don't have cable TV.
I apologize.
It's. I love it that he thinks this guy's awesome, but he's the backup quarterback on a bad team. They paid the quarterback a lot.
The XFL. I just want to make it sure. I'm not saying he's going to be awesome and walking into an NFL team.
No, I love that you're excited about him because, like I said, I'd never heard his name until a minute ago. And
he was on the Colts practice squad, Fred, and he got cut.
Poor guy.
If you can't make that team after they lost their quarterback.
It was before he retired.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Donnie, you got any thoughts on the XFL star PJ Walker?
No, I think the only relevant XFL player we're going to see is Reggie Begelton.
I don't even know who that is.
He's made up that name.
He's,
That's not a real person.
no,
No idea.
look him up. Look up Reggie Beggleton. I know Eric, you'll like him.
It's going to take me to like a Rick Astley video, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
No. I'll give you a quick hint of the roster he resides on.
Oh, he's on Green Bay. I see.
I believe he was the XFL's leading receiver in their short life.
All right, Fred's trying to kill me tonight.
No, so Reggie Beggleton was in the CFL, not the XFL.
CFL. Okay, that's my bad. That's how much I paid attention to the XFL.
It was fun for what it was. It was. Eric,
I watched a few. I definitely watched some games.
Eric, what were they? In New Jersey, what? In New York, what?
Guardians. We were the Guardians.
Guardians.
All right. Well,
I got a jersey from China. One of those things still not here. Got a fucking. I have a McGoin jersey. I have a Matt McGoin jersey on my way to my house from China. That's stupid I feel.
Okay, well, let's move on because this isn't an XFL podcast, but I'm glad you enjoyed that Flyer pick, Bill.
A CFL apparently.
Yeah, or CFL Flyers, but I mean, people hold value to these fourth round picks. Mike took a full day to decide that he was going to skip the last two picks in the draft, which, I mean, again, I said it before we started podcasting. What's the point of improving 1 cent into 2 cents? Like, let's just move on. God bless him for trying, but it didn't get him anything.
I mean, when you're sitting there, you have to at least try it, right?
I guess. I mean, he skipped earlier picks in the fourth round, no problem. Like, I dealt with them, so I don't know why they suddenly gained value.
Those there's still plenty of time to get the guy you want.
Mike,
and he must have declined offer for blind bid dollars. He said he would come on the podcast and explain why skipping the pick was better than taking blind bid dollars for it. He had offers for blind bid.
I don't know, and
it doesn't make sense.
That again, to me as an owner, when it comes down to fourth round picks, I'm almost not even interested in looking at values. I'm like, it's a guy that I could get on waivers 2 weeks later because someone's going to drop him.
Totally agree with that.
Well, I mean, I'll admit that by the time it got to whatever pick I had left in the fourth round, I think it was the 420 or something like that, I didn't know who anyone was anymore. And I try to follow this. So I can't imagine there being someone at 448 that's still out there that someone said, oh, yeah, I got to get that guy.
I mean, it depends.
I'm not taking the chance of him going to free agency.
I was excited to get James Morgan. I know I was the first one who took him. I was late for it. But it was fun to have that guy. And you know what, about Fred, though, you're right, though. At least I knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I don't know what the hell is going on.
James Morgan, the Memphis quarterback that went to the Jets?
Yeah, because I hate Sam Darnold so much and the Jets that I loved the fact that they took a quarterback. So I wanted him. And that's why I did it. Not even because I knew who he was. I only know who he was because the Jets drafted him in the fourth round. And I hate Sam Darnold that much. And I hate Jet fans that much. That's what it was, honestly. Otherwise, I have no idea what the hell was going on in the fourth round.
Well, Donnie, I know we got you on last minute. Is there any picks, a mid-second or later that you wanted to highlight? Anyone you really liked at a spot or disliked?
Mid-second or later, I was going to say I was actually kind of surprised after kind of his draft buzz that he in the NFL draft he went where he did, and then subsequently in our draft, James Prochet made it all the way to like the bottom of the fourth round because that was a name that I think was fairly well known coming into the NFL draft, which usually then translates to going somewhat decently in a fantasy draft, and for him to basically be available for free at the bottom of the fourth was a big surprise of the overall draft, I think.
What's James Prochet's deal? He SMU receiver, so they're kind of a pass happy offense, right?
Yeah, I think, and I didn't do a ton of a ton of looking at the guy where I had him valued. I didn't think he was going to end up on my team, so I didn't do a ton of looking. But I think he's one of these multiple threat guys. I think he's done a little bit of throwing in his past, if I'm remembering the right guy.
Yeah, I mean, I live local to Baltimore, and we are hearing things like it could be either Proch or Devernay who takes that second spot, and it's not obvious which one of them is really the better guy at this point. And there's still a copy out there for someone to go get. There's only 2 of them got drafted.
Real Betis and Hamburg were the teams that got the Proch copies. And so the PJ Walker copies that we were talking about earlier, that's Chelsea, me, Wolfsburg, and Newcastle drafted them back to back in the 4th, which is pretty crazy because we didn't see many of that after the first couple rounds.
2 copies in the Premier League, of course.
Billy, you sound pretty slighted about that. A backup quarterback in Carolina.
I'm just
all it takes is one injury, right?
One injury. So that's why I'm like this. So with Kyle Allen, I hope. Well, Dwayne Haskins. I don't know about you guys. He's come on, get out of here. Sorry, I think he's gonna be trash. I think he was trash when they picked him. And
is there any starting quarterback you do like?
Yeah, Daniel Jones, New York Giants.
Why?
Why? I'm a Giants fan. But there's more. But the Allen Wise, if you're going to Allen, man, I always didn't like Haskins. I always didn't. I don't like Ohio State quarterbacks. I never did because he's not good. He was a disaster last year. He had one good game against the Giants, and we're a disaster. Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, he was so good against the Giants. I could look good against the Giants. I don't want to hear that.
The one thing with the Redskins is that they were such a mess last year that I don't take any of the things I saw from a lot of the players too seriously. But
you should take Terry. God, how do you say his last name? McLaurin. Take him seriously. He's a stud. He's gonna kill me for years. He's really good. He's very good. He is.
Donnie, what do you think about McLaurin? You think he's going to be a solid receiver moving forward?
I might have lost your audio. Do you got me right now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't know. I think he could be a guy that's like I don't know. I have a hard time seeing his ceiling being much more than the Kyle Juszczyk role, which I know has brought some value at times, but from a fantasy perspective, I do see.
Wait, hold on. Terry McLaurin, the receiver?
Let's back up.
See, audio cut out for a second. I thought you said Josiah DeGoria. That you were
broke
at the end of the 4th round.
No. We were talking. We were talking about Terry McLaurin on the Redskins.
Gotcha. I lost audio right till the very end of his last name there, and I thought you guys were still on the 4th round. And you're a Packer fan, so one copy of DeGoria went. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting guy to talk about, but. Yeah.
So yeah, with Terry McLaurin, he looked great without a consistent quarterback, which I always loved, and he definitely seemed like he had some route running mixed with speed that could be exciting. But I still worry about his landing spot being in Washington and him not having a consistent quarterback to make him the star.
I don't think it's him. I think it's who's throwing to him is the problem.
Right, but that matters in fantasy. I don't care what his
the same guy who was throwing him in college.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Wow. All right.
What was that, Fred?
You said the problem's the guy who was throwing it to him, but it's the same guy who was throwing it to him in college.
They sucked them.
Oh, was it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Haskins and McLaurin were teammates at Ohio State.
Haskins. I'm not even being biased. I swear to God, I'm not being biased. And Erik won't believe me. And I know he won't. But I swear to God, and like him at Ohio State, there was never – I don't know. I mean – help me if I'm wrong. I can't remember the last time an Ohio State quarterback came out and was a successful quarterback. Cordell Jones got benched in the XFL. Come on, get out of here. Ohio State had as far as quarterbacks.
Well, their best quarterback became a receiver, right?
Terrell Pryor, he was also a receiver as well.
And he had a good year or two in the NFL.
He had a good year, I think, in Oakland, and he signed for a lot of money in Washington, and he did nothing.
But to answer Eric's question about McLaurin, he was a guy I targeted fairly heavily last year, and somehow I didn't get him in this league. I don't know. I just didn't have picks at that point when he got taken off the board and couldn't trade into them. But he was, for what he cost in rookie picks or startup picks, he was going to a great situation in terms of it. There being no one ahead of him, or there being no competition, and he had gotten touted at the Senior Bowl for great route running and his quickness and speed. Then he came out and repeated it at the combine. He just went under the radar of almost everyone.
Yeah, I had no idea who he was until he started blowing up in the NFL.
He went under my radar. Yeah. I just think eventually, and I'm being selfish, I think, when I say Kyle Allen will take over. Because I have Kyle Allen. I'm in trouble because I gave up my
I would love it if Kyle Allen took over.
Man, me too.
I have a copy of him.
No way. I'll be happy for 14 games if Kyle Allen takes over.
Well, even though McLaurin played with Haskins in college, which I didn't even realize, I still worry about that offense being consistent enough for a receiver to put up, like, say, receiver one numbers. Even though I think McLaurin is talented.
That's the biggest question, or the biggest knock against him is the offense and the team he's on. In terms of what he can do on the field and what he's shown so far, talent's there.
Well, he's shown last year from what I watched. I watched wrestling closely. I watched that division a lot. His accuracy is terrible. It was a disaster. And again, he's a rookie, so maybe we can always say Daniel Jones.
He's no Daniel Jones.
I'm sorry?
He's no Daniel Jones.
Oh no, Daniel Jones is. And I'll say, Erik knows I lost my mind when they put Daniel Jones at 6. I turned off my phone. I went to bed. I had no idea that we drafted their Dexter Lawrence or DeAndre Baker later in the night. I had no idea. That's how mad I was.
Billy and I have a good history of talking during the draft, especially the first few rounds, and he stopped answering my text for the whole first round after that pick.
Turn my phone off. I woke up the next day and turned my phone on. I had about 50 texts. Some of them were very mean.
I'm texting Billy about like the 14th pick. I don't know who it was at the time. I was like, "Hey, Bill, what do you think of this one?" I'm like, the pick 20's up. I guess Billy's just that upset about Daniel Jones that he's not going to answer me.
My dog at the time was taking Xanax to calm down. He was crazy. I popped 2 Xanax. I'm like, "See you later. I'll see you tomorrow." Went to bed. That was it. I'm done. I couldn't believe what happened.
Well, Donna, we've talked about a lot. Any thoughts about that Washington offense or Daniel Jones?
No, I mean, I think it's promising. You see a lot of really good wide receivers come in and not be able to do very much at all. And for him to produce, anything and show some promise in his rookie year, I think is a really good sign from him. I think they got a good coach, and I think I spent probably 3 minutes explaining why Darius Geis is the truth on the last podcast. So I think
I love you. I do.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I guess they do have some young talent. QB, I'm still concerned about, but they do have young talent elsewhere. That's for sure.
We're talking about as far as the Redskins or the Giants. I'm sorry. At this point, I'm all over the place.
Yes, both.
Okay. Giants, I don't know what to believe with the offense. I don't know. I obviously love him. Receivers get so much hate. I don't want to go into the receivers, in my opinion, because I'm definitely being biased. I definitely am. I'll say one thing, though. I love Shepard, and I think he's going to explode this year. 8 touchdowns as the number 3 last year, over 700 yards. Come on. I'm in love with that. I'm in love with him. I've known Erik for 20 years. I love Erik. I would kill Erik to make sure that I still have Darius Slayton on my team.
Okay, that's rude.
It is a little rude. It is, and I apologize. Do I? I don't know.
All right. Well, now that we've talked enough about the Giants before Billy gives us all of his biased opinions, let's move on to some of the trades we wanted to highlight that went down recently. And definitely the more interesting one that we have is Fred of Hercules trading with Roma. And I'm going to let you take this one away, Fred. Why don't you introduce it to the podcast?
Who did I trade with?
Roma.
And what did I get?
It's up on the screen if you just want to read it.
Oh, I had to change my window there. Thank you. So yeah, this was my attempt to secure a second quarterback in the Superflex league. I didn't actually have anyone on my roster who was a starting quarterback other than Kyler Murray. So I mortgaged the future and my Devi pick from last year to get somebody who I think could end up shooting up the rankings and being a hell of a quarterback.
Yeah, so in giving up your Clemson receiver Nagata and a first-round pick, you got Stidham and a second-round pick back. You also gave up Boston Scott, but I don't really think you're going to be crying over losing him.
I had to give up somebody off my, just as a roster move.
Gotcha. Okay, and so I mean, really, when you introduce a trade like this, it's really dependent on what the Patriots do. And I think even though no one's entirely sure, Stidham definitely seems like he's the de facto starter week 1.
Yeah, I feel like Kellen Moore is it not Kellen Moore?
Brian Hoyer, right?
Brian Hoyer, Jesus. I feel like Brian Hoyer is really meant to be just insurance. If everything breaks, break glass. People say he could be the starter, and it's a competition, but it really feels to me like this is ready made for Stidham to step right into, or at least that's what I'm gambling on.
I'm sorry, I gotta jump in here. I don't think Hoyer is the starter usually. Stidham is definitely not the starter. Come week time. I would hate on the quarterback depth chart in New England 99% of the time. With Bill Belichick sitting right here, he's gonna win games. He's gonna make the playoffs with Brian Hoyer as a starting quarterback. I'm not bashing Stidham. I'm not doing that. Maybe Stidham's something, a story next year. I'm sorry. Bill Belichick is the best coach of all time, and he's going to make the playoffs with Hoyer. I hate it too. I hate them. But Hoyer's going to start, and he's bringing him to the playoffs. Call me crazy. Say I'm drunk and I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
Regardless of which team or which quarterback's starting, you can't bet against him making the playoffs, right?
No, you can't. And I hate it. I think it's crazy. How would you bet against the Patriots making the playoffs? Whoever. I'm playing quarterback. You can't bet against the Patriots. It's insane.
So, Billy, do you really think that it's going to be Hoyer? You don't think that even if Stidham doesn't do well like you are predicting, you don't think they get another quarterback or use somebody else on their roster? You think it's Hoyer 100%?
I sold my soul that Dalton was going to New England. All right. I already went through that heartbreak.
Well, Dalton already got a new home. I'm talking about a new person going to New England, not someone that's already on a new team.
From now until the start, I don't think so. They won't pay New what he wants. He has it for weekend watch. They won't. They'll go with Hoyer, and Belichick will make the offense around him, and he will win 10 to 11 games with Hoyer. I don't think they win the division. I think the Bills win that division. I think with Hoyer, they make the playoffs. Absolutely.
Donnie, what do you think about Fred's chance of getting a second quarterback here in Stidham? Would you do that if you were in his spot and you're trying to compete this year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's probably the cheapest starting quarterback you're going to acquire if he does start out of this league, and really he moved back from the first round next year to the second round and gave up Boston Scott. I mean, sure, you could say something about this Joe guy, but the Debbie's they're hard to really value, especially when you want to make a push right now. So I can't hate on the trade at all. The guy could be starting in a very good offense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I disagree with Bill. I think it's worth the risk. I think Hoyer is the journeyman guy, and I don't think that unless Stidham plays really bad, I don't think that Belichick's going to make that switch. I think he's there for insurance that the offense can run at 50% if things go really sour. But if Stidham's okay, I think he's the starter there. They have nobody else, and I don't think they're signing anyone else either.
No, I don't think so. I think I agree that Cam's not going there. I don't think they'll pay Cam the money. I could see like a Kaepernick coming back or a trade happening or something like that, but that's pretty minimal. So I would say Stidham's probably the guy. I feel like with his age, being drafted recently, and the fact that he's still on their team, that tells me Bill's going to stick him over who's there forever.
Hey, Bill, put your laptop a little farther away. We're echoing.
Sorry.
But yeah, Donnie, Bill, you're gonna have to mute. You're echoing really bad. Oh, there's somebody else.
No, he's himself off mute.
Now I'm back. Yeah, I was muted. For some reason. I don't know what happened.
Bill, you have to stop the feedback. We're echoing through your thing, so everyone's going to hear everybody twice except for yourself. So I muted you again. Stay on mute until you fix it because you're bouncing back to us. But Donnie, while Billy tries to fix his mic, I can't even think anymore. But I'll just re-explain that I think Stidham is going to be the QB this year, probably for the whole year.
I would agree. I think that's the most likely outcome.
And I don't need him to be stellar. I just need average. Just another starting player on my roster to push it over.
You need him playing, and I get that. Wait, Eric, can you hear me? Am I okay?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good.
Sure. You need him playing. Like last year, I went position heavy. That's like Tom Brady, I think, in like the last possible round. I got lucky with Kyle Allen, honestly. Thank God Cam got hurt. But I hear you with that. You just need him playing. Those QB points you can't make up anywhere. You can go for 500 yards and four interceptions, and you're still getting those points. So I think I get you with that point.
Well, moving on, we have another trade involving a quarterback between two very big teams in La Liga. We have the Champions League winner, Real Zaragoza, trading away Tom Brady and Marvin Jones to the La Liga winner and domestic cup winner in Spain, in Atletico Madrid, who gave up his own first and 3 seconds, along with a third and a fourth. I think it's fair to say that Atletico Madrid's first is going to be fairly late, but Real Zaragoza cashing in on Brady while he can in one of his last years in the league, no doubt, and Marvin Jones, who's an older receiver but was pretty productive last year. I think it's a better move for Atletico Madrid because both these teams are competing. So yeah, I'd rather have the players that are putting up points and adding starters and depth to my roster than future picks. So I definitely would lean on Atletico Madrid being the winner of this trade. Fred, I know you commented on this because you made a trade for a quarterback too. It seems like you could have got Brady for a little bit more. Would you have done that?
Whether it's a little bit more or I guess it's a little bit more because the Devy picks nobody can really put a price on consistently. The thing I see about this trade is that he got a much better quarterback than I was able to get, and at least flex receiver that he can use throughout the season when people are on bye week, or even just if Jones goes on a hot streak, he can ride him for a few weeks in the middle of the season. Give me the player side of this every time.
Yeah. Donnie, how about you? What do you think?
I actually disagree on this one. I don't think I would have mortgaged all of those picks for that age. And I'm not looking at any future picks that he owns, but if that's most of the high picks that he owned in 2021, I mean, you haven't had a guy out there playing starting quarterback at Tom Brady's age. He could literally break in the first game and not play another snap in the NFL. And his only other quarterback is Matt Ryan and Jameis Winston, who also may never start another game. So, in this league, getting that quarterback spot, as we just talked about, is extremely important, which it was a gap for him. So he closed it, but he's got quite a bit of age coming at him in this trade and giving away a lot of his selections next year. If Tom Brady gets hurt and gets knocked out of the league, in the early part of the season, he's a couple years out from having a quarterback, because he's probably not going to get him trading some of his other players, and he's got no draft picks to find a decent quarterback now.
Yeah, so he cashed out like $700 in this league, finishing second in the Champions League, winning his own league and his domestic cup. He came around 700, so he's definitely one of the favorites this year, just based on his results last year. And I think that's why he kind of made this all-in push, where, like, you know what, if he cashes again, something like that, he could be bad for 5 years and it won't bother him one bit.
But how much of that was because he had, Matt Ryan, who's solid, and the freak of a season that Jameis Winston had with all the turnovers and touchdowns, but still coming out to be one of the top quarterbacks?
Yeah, Winston added to it, but I mean, I think adding Brady, the quarterback of the same team now, to the roster where he has, where his receivers and running backs, and now he has Kelsey at tight end, are dominant. I don't see him not making money this year. I think he's going to be another great team. So I think it's one of those things where if you are a team in that spot, you do mortgage the future for the present.
Yeah. Knowing what I know about this owner, I don't think we should assume that Brady and Ryan will be his quarterbacks at the start of the season. He may flip one or both of these guys throughout the summer.
That's true too.
It'll be hard to flip Tom. It will.
Yeah, it just depends on what you pair with him.
What
you're trying to do.
Like I said, a 2-year contract, and it's not something that he's not going to finish. It's going to be a 2-year contract. No matter what. I get that. Looking at his roster, you know what it is? I don't love it. I like it a lot. I don't love it. Look at it. There's consistent players on his roster, and that's what it is. He was untouchable last year. Apparently until Zaragoza came around. Because they were consistent. That's what it was. Yeah, he doesn't have the star-studded lineup like you think he can have. But it's consistent. And I'm looking at it again now. I'm looking at the trade. I'm looking at this. I like bringing Tom Brady in. I like it a lot. I think it makes him more dangerous. I get the picks. Picks are going to hurt him. Long term, in a couple of years, he's going to be a disaster. But in the next year or two, he might be the best team in the league. Again.
All right, so, Donnie, do you have any closing thoughts on this one?
I was saying he must have done the same thing last year, trade away all his picks. I don't see a rookie on his team.
Yeah, same. Same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he pushed all in, which is probably the right move.
There's not one rookie on the team at all.
Yeah. He did have two first-round picks. He traded it for Kelsey.
Mm-hmm.
What a trade. I mean, what a trade.
That's a good trade.
Okay, well, moving on, we have more of a personal trade that we're going to bring up, and that was our own co-host of Arsenal here, and he wants to tell you guys about this trade in the third round with AC Milan.
I don't want to defend it at all. It's a disaster. I didn't want to trade this pick. I'm sorry. I didn't want to make a pick. This is when my dog was sick. I didn't care what was going on. I didn't care at all. I said, who wants to pick? Somebody screwed me at the last second. I can't remember who it was. And at that point, I was like, whatever. Whatever happens, happens. I'll take it. And I was done.
Okay, well, announce the trade, Bill. No one knows what trade you're talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Arsenal's dumbass gave up 2020 draft pick 330 for Dion Lewis and AC Milan's third-round pick next year. Stupid. Lewis is 30. Almost 30. But you know what it was? At this point of the thing, again, I was upset. I knew what was going on. I didn't care. I was basically giving it away. Somebody screwed me at some point in the conversations. At that point, I said, fuck it, who cares?
And I'll play devil's advocate here, Bill. I don't think your return is that bad for a late third-round pick to get a future third-round pick that's probably going to be a little better next year, and you get a veteran, a running back who maybe carved out a bigger role than he had in Tennessee last year.
Yeah, I hear that, but I think his role is kind of taken over from Barkley, because Barkley has both those roles. He's the runner, and he's also the receiver. I'm not sure Dion Lewis is getting on the field unless he's tired or he's hurt. He might only get 5 to 6 snaps a game.
I think that's actually a pretty good prop bet. Is who has more points this year, Dion Lewis or the guy who went at 330, who was Devin Asiasi?
I'll take that bet right now. Yeah, I would.
Which side are you on?
I'm on my side. I'm on Dion Lewis' side. But I called Erik. I actually called Erik. I said, Erik, what do you think of this? And we agreed. He said, this is the best thing that we can do. And then I'm not looking right now, but we agreed to a trade. And I accepted it, Erik, if you remember. In the last second, the guy said, nah, sorry, I got cold feet. And I think he blocked me on GroupMe.
I don't know who it was.
I can't find it either because he blocked me, apparently. So I was pissed.
Okay. Well, Bill, I wouldn't beat yourself up too bad. Donnie, you have any thoughts on this trade?
It would look better if Dion Lewis wasn't a free agent in our league. I won't lie; that hurts the value of the trade just a little bit. But I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think it's a bad trade.
Yeah, third for third, it's not bad.
Time, like everything going on, I thought it was shitty.
Yeah, but don't beat yourself over that.
I mean, a blind bid firestorm for whoever Saquon's backup was last year. He's not even rostered anymore either. But at the time, he was a blind bid firestorm, so he's probably a good hold.
I hate that. I want to make this known. I hope everyone in this league listens to this right now. Do not offer me blind bids. I don't want it. I'm not going to use it. Leave me the fuck alone.
That's the best way you can improve your roster at the middle of the season. Why are you giving?
I don't care. Do not want it.
You look at Gardner Minshew last year for that kind of money.
That was a different league. But if I remember correctly, that was all my money.
I'm just saying that happened in leagues across dynasty leagues with deep rosters. That players like Gardner Minshew.
This is a way different league. This is a special league. I'm not interested in any of that.
Okay, well, there's your insider trading for you guys. Don't trade Arsenal. Try to get his blind bid dollars because he doesn't value it at all.
Offer me even 1 cent in blind bids, I'm blocking you.
Okay, well, let's move on to another trade that doesn't include any blind bid dollars, so Arsenal can talk about it. But we'll start with Donnie on this one because he always goes last. We have Hanover, one of the rebuilding teams from last year, giving up Tannehill and Christian Kirk. And in return, he received from Newcastle Todd Gurley, a future first-round pick from Newcastle, and his future third. So, Donnie, which side do you like better on this one?
I like the Gurley side of this trade for sure. I think the round 1 draft pick is solid, obviously, but I mean they've gone all in on Gurley, and I think he's a better player than Devonta Freeman was there. So I think he's think he's going to light it up. So I think he could have a really strong year there. And I like the draft picks. I'm a huge fan of Christian Kirk, but he kind of got buried on the depth chart too. So honestly, you could probably buy him back at a reduced rate, later in the season. And I'm not a huge Tannehill believer. I don't think he'll be replaced at their earliest opportunity.
Really? Even after last season when he kind of tore it up and brought Tennessee into the playoffs and beat the Ravens?
We'll get the end of the year. We'll get the end of the year. His numbers went down.
At the end of the year, when the entire defense was watching what Henry was doing because he had 1 billion carries.
Come on. I'm with you, Atlanta, 100%. I was a big guy too, but I'm with Atlanta right now, 100%.
So you would rather have Gurley in the picks than have Tannehill and Kirk, and it's mostly because you don't think Tannehill is going to have a job for the long term.
You're asking me a lot right now. I'm not saying that specifically. This trade is a mind blower, man. I don't know. Gurley in Atlanta. If Gurley's healthy, he's a top 3 running back in the league, and that's what it is.
But for how long?
I agree, because he only has one knee. Come on, you're 25 and you've arthritis in your knee?
Bill, I don't think it's a debate with his knee right now. I think it's a known fact. The Rams gave him so much money to be the focal point of that offense, and 2 years later they get rid of him because he couldn't do the job they wanted him to do.
Hey, listen, I know, because the guy who owns the Rams owns Arsenal, so I'm well aware about that.
Okay, so but even with those concerns,
I think Kirk is the big question around here. I like Kirk a lot. I do. And I get that Hopkins went there. Okay, let's get real. Fitz is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's 37. Kirk is the future with Hopkins in Arizona. I think Kirk and Hopkins can be, oh my God, lethal for years and years to come. So, God, first round pick. How was Hanover last year?
bad.
How bad?
He was one of the bottom 10 teams in the league.
Changes a lot. It changes a lot.
But to do that intentionally.
Sorry?
Yeah, he was rebuilding. He had like 4 first-round picks this year.
Okay.
Well, Fred, what do you think about the trade? So Donnie was on the side. He'd rather have Gurley in the picks, which got us talking about Tannehill, and Billy was saying it's more about his love for Gurley. What do you think?
Man, I'm torn on this one. I feel like Tannehill isn't worth what he should be. I'm sorry, he's worth more than he should be worth based on how he finished the season versus how he ended the regular season. And I think Todd Gurley is going to absolutely tear it up this year in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how long he can do that for. You look at everything involved, and it's 3 different positions in a draft pick. You almost never see a trade like this, where people are giving up, positions of strength for, ostensibly positions of, where their needs are. I really want Gurley in the pick to be the side that wins this, but I have no idea. It really depends on what Tannehill does.
He's at the start of the year, if I'm not wrong, I don't know his birthday exactly, but I think he's 26 at the beginning of this year. After what he did in LA, or in St. Louis, and then LA. I mean, healthy. How could you bet against him? How could you? I get your point, Fred. I do. It's a wild trade. It really, really is. I don't think Tannehill can do what he did last year. There's no way he can. There's no way. I don't think.
Especially since looking at his roster, I don't know. He's got Derek Carr and the rest of the Oakland quarterback. He's got Marcus Mariota, and he's got Baker Mayfield.
Okay, going to Hanover. Okay.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor and Jameis Winston. I don't know if you can't count on either one of those guys. I would rather have Tannehill if I had his roster. I think.
If I had his roster, I agree with you. Yeah. Man, that many quarterbacks and you still don't have a solid one. Rough.
It's weird, right? He's loaded, except none of them he can count on.
He must have loved that Jacoby Brissett pick last year.
But he didn't move him. That was if that's what you're doing, you gotta get rid of him while you can.
So I don't know if you guys. Well, I know Fred plays in leagues with Justin. Justin is he is a guy that likes to collect a bunch of quarterbacks, especially backups, journeymen that he can get value on the waiver wire, whatever he finds, and he hopes he can turn that into value in these super flex leagues where they're valued and there's teams that trade for quarterbacks just to have a quarterback. And this roster that he has with all the guys you mentioned is the same kind of thing. It's a bunch of guys. Nobody that I think is going to be a top 15 quarterback. Baker Mayfield has that ceiling. There's no doubt he could turn it around.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that.
Besides that, it's a bunch of guys. But you know what? When Justin's guys go into stars, he trades them to get more guys and improve other positions. That's just how Justin plays these leagues.
Yep.
But
and he's easy to trade with as long as you're offering him what he's looking for.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's very
question,
Eric. What, Bill?
Was our draft before Antonio Brown went on his nonsense? It was, right?
It was last summer, so I really don't remember when it was.
It was before.
It was before?
Yeah.
The Derek Carr pick was a lot more valuable a year ago as well.
Well, he's got two starters, so I could see why he gave up Tannehill. I kind of disagree with Fred there. I think Tannehill is kind of on the same level as a Carr. And, I mean, Tyrod Taylor is more of a rental, I think, even though he's going to start this year. But he's got two quarterbacks, so if he's going to improve his running backs and get more draft capital, I don't think Justin's fully ready for the push this year, but his team's going to compete. He's got some great running backs, and he's got Amari Cooper at receiver. So, he's got a starting roster that's going to compete each week.
Me and him will be talking in maybe tomorrow when he wakes up. He's got some running backs that I'm interested. I need a quarterback. I do.
Yeah.
Unless Haskins tears his ACL. No matter how bad Haskins is this year, he's still going to start. God, this is the worst. Ugh. God. I'm full.
Okay, well, that's all I have for trades. So, is there anything you guys want to talk about before we conclude? Because that's all I have for you guys.
Not necessarily. I think it was a conversation now. I do. I think it's a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot to talk about, I think, after the youth draft, after this finally finishes. Look forward to it. And I'll say it again. I said it at the end of the last podcast. I am in the market for a quarterback. But don't try to fuck me.
Billy, you should send out some offers for quarterbacks you like.
Yeah, maybe I should do that because I'm just letting offers come in and people are trying to fuck me.
You need to send offers.
Be the trade you want to be.
Sorry?
Exactly. Donnie, I know you joined late. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Nothing really coming to mind. It's interesting watching the Devy draft and seeing how many guys last year drafted guys you would have expected to go this year and beyond. I didn't realize quite that many from 2 recruiting seasons out had been drafted last year. So that was definitely something that caught my interest a little bit.
Yeah, so there was only one player that got drafted 2 recruiting classes out. So last year, the 2019 were the incoming freshmen, which were a lot of the picks. And then all the other picks besides one were the 2020 class, which are the incoming freshmen this year, which are highlighted in yellow. So that was the most. And then, there was the one guy that got, I forget who it was. I think I had the sheet up. Zaragoza, our Champions League winner, took Troy Franklin, who is entering his senior year of high school this coming September. So, it's pretty far out.
Yeah.
but we'll see. I mean, there was talks about a player even younger getting drafted this year, and that pick is coming up. So we might see some crazy stuff.
Yeah, right. It is.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a prospect pick. You could spend it however you want. That's the beauty of it, and you can't trade it. Go figure.
Question for the Erik. The one's 5-year-old. The one is 2. Can they come as a package?
No, you get one person.
Come on, man.
What about if they were twins?
One person.
I'm with Fred. If Fred can have his twins there, if I can have all the Eli Manning babies, even Felicia, I'll draft Felicia if you want me to.
What do you mean if you want me to? Do whatever you want. You get one pick. Use it.
All right.
Fred, do you have any closing thoughts for us today?
I got nothing. No, I can't believe we've been talking as long as we have.
I know. Yeah, we didn't have too much, but yep. Just maybe do some research now if you're listening, so that when your pick's up, you could just make the pick. I can't believe how much time some people are taking on this. I appreciate the few owners that sent me a list, say like, "Hey, these are my top lists. Just take my top guy. I won't be on my phone." So I appreciate that for the couple people who did it. But yeah, that's all we have for today. After this, there's not going to be too much we can cover until we get NFL news, which I don't think we're any time near. So I guess the one thing we could do, if we're going to do some podcasts, we could do some predictions for the league, teams we either like or don't like. We could go through divisions like we have in the past. I'll talk about that with our co-hosts here to see how we want to proceed with that. But
All right, can I cut you off real quick? I just want to make one prediction real quick. Not just the Premier League, but just overall, the 48 teams that we have, I am positive. I put money on it that Matt Waite and Tottenham Hotspur finish dead last. There's my prediction.
okay.
All right, so I'll make that known.
Okay, so there you have it. Well, maybe we'll cover it when we do predictions in the future. But for tonight, that's all we have for you. So for Donnie and Atalanta, Billy at Arsenal, Fred at Hercules, and Erik at Wolfsburg, we're signing off, and we'll see you next time.